Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the November 17th meeting of Eureka Springs Historic District Commission. I'm Dee Bright, Chair, and everyone, would you please turn off your cell phones? Commissioners present tonight are Marty Cogan, Maggie Haig, Judy Holden, Steve Hollifield is absent with notice, Randy Maddox, and Kyle Palmer. We have a quorum for business. The Eureka Springs Historic District Commission is empowered by Eureka Springs Municipal Code to issue a certificate of appropriateness for alterations of exterior architectural features, demolition, and new construction within historic districts. We use Eureka Springs Historic District Design Guidelines and the U.S. Secretary of Interior Standards for the treatment of historic properties as the basis for our decisions. The Commission can take the following actions on an application: approval with modifications, denial, or defer for more information. Appeal of denial may be made to the Circuit Court. Public comments on agenda items will be heard as each item is called. Other comments will be heard during public comment period. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
I move that the application for signage and lighting at 1 First Street be moved from the consent agenda to tonight's agenda.
So we're moving that under new business to number 5. Do I have a second?
Second.
Randy made the motion, Judy seconded. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Any other changes or additions? Okay. May I have a well, we've changed that. Okay. Okay, under new business, we have no old business. Level 2, 3 College, changes to windows, siding, door, rear deck, partial enclosure of carport. Level 2, conceptual review, 29 South Main, addition of second-story covered porch. Level 3, 4 Drennan, new construction of guest cabin, addition of deck and greenhouse on main house. Level 2, 245 Spring, replace aluminum windows with vinyl inserts. And now we have number 5, level 1, 1 First. 3 exterior lights, change 2 parking signs. And then we'll do consent in a minute. Do we have anyone present for 3 College?
They are on the Zoom call. They're on the Zoom.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Would you state your name and address, please?
I'm Jim House, 4501 South Art Circle in Fort Smith.
And we're discussing 3 College Level 2, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Kylie?
The residence at 3 College is a small ranch-style home constructed in 1965. Before the exterior alterations, the home was clad with blonde brick veneer on the bottom half and vertical board and batten siding on the top. The facade featured asymmetrical window placements, including a vertical single-hung aluminum or vinyl window with brick sill, 2 matching vertical single-hung windows with no sills, and a large horizontal sliding window with brick sill. A small concrete front step was flanked by iron railings. On the far left of the facade was a single-car carport accessed by the front driveway. Iron posts support the left side of the carport. Another detached carport and storage area is located to the right of the main house. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the following items: the replacement of The horizontal sliding window with 3 fixed horizontal pane windows, the removal of 1 smaller facade window, the replacement of a facade window with a single light transom window, the replacement of other windows with single hung vinyl replacements, the replacement of brick veneer and board and batten siding with horizontal hardy plank lap siding, replacement of the front door with wood look solid core metal door with 4 horizontal opaque lights, the removal of iron railings and carport support posts, the addition of a half-height pony wall to enclose the front side of the carport, clad in siding to match the rest of the house, as well as the replacement and expansion of a rear wooden deck. Railing and stairs were brought up to code, and that is approximately 10 feet deep and 42 feet long. In evaluating the request for these alterations, staff makes the following findings of fact. The property is considered non-contributing. All properties on the street were constructed in 1965 or later, and several have been highly altered. Current guidelines for non-historic neighborhoods state that original materials and design should be maintained, but does not mandate like-for-like replacement. As such, the changes to siding, windows, doors, and even the partial enclosure of the carport may be considered appropriate. Staff recommend approval of this agenda item.
Do I have a motion for discussion?
I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work at number 3 College as proposed.
Second.
Judy made the motion. Kyle seconded. Discussion?
I need to raise a couple of questions, and I've raised questions like this before about the questions of buildings being historic and non-historic and conforming and non-conforming. And now that I finally have my computer here, I want to say what our guidelines say, that how we should interpret these. And I'm looking at sections 30 and 31 of the guidelines. And the salient points here are that in general, okay, non-historic buildings are generally less than 50 years old. Historic, let's see, here we go. Let me read this just verbatim. Although a building may not be historic at this time, someday it will be. It is generally accepted that a building is considered historic when it reaches 50 years. So unless there's some compelling reason that this building is not to be considered historic, then I assume that this building became a historic building in 2015. So non-historic, well, that's not relevant here, but section 31 then says, here are some guidelines and some information about non-contributing historic buildings that is 50 or more years old, which I believe this building is. And I'm reading verbatim here from this entire section. Buildings that are 50 years or older are considered historic, regardless of how plain, unattractive, common, or unimportant their owners or others perceive them to be. Even though these buildings are historic, they may also be considered non-contributing by the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program for one or more reasons. And here are the 2 reasons that are listed in these guidelines. Number 1, non-historic materials have been used for replacement or added, that i.e. wood windows replaced with vinyl windows, artificial siding, that's an example. Number 2, inappropriate changes or additions have been made. For example, original details removed, primary or secondary porch enclosed, roof lines altered, out-of-scale additions, and so on. I'm skipping to the last sentence here, and it says, so all historic structures, even the non-contributing ones, must be protected from further inappropriate changes. That is a must. It's not a should. I also note that in the listing of the applicable guidelines for this, that let me go to the packet here. If you look at the packet, then what page are we looking at?
2.
Excuse me, indulge me while I find this. When I look at item 1, page 2, applicable SOI standards, et cetera, I see in number 2, for example, historic character will be retained, will. I don't see any shoulds. in here, I see things that will be done. Now, I know there is that general statement that I don't know exactly where that came from in the guidelines, but that something should be maintained. And yes, I know that that is definitely there, but that's a sort of a generic application of saying materials original to the building should be preserved. And then windows on primary facades should be preserved in their original location, size, and design. So I interpret this building to be contributing, because I don't think that we have any basis for saying that a lot of changes have been made, or any changes that have been made to this building that have caused it to qualify for non-conforming status based on the criteria that are in our guidelines.
Now, can I interrupt and ask Kylie, since we are fortunate now because of her education, she can recommend to Little Rock for the guidelines to be contributing or non. So I think we need to ask her for her expertise on this.
So the challenge with any property post-1955 in the historic district is that survey was last reviewed in 2005. So that set the 50-year mark at 1955. So we have properties from 1955, excuse me, to 1971 that are currently considered non-contributing, and decisions have been made based on that non-contributing status, when really they need to be reevaluated to assess their significance and integrity. So you're exactly right, Randy, and that I feel like the delineation between contributing and non-contributing in the purposes of a lot of the things that we do here is less helpful, simply because that information is kind of out of date at this point. That being said, you know, the Secretary of Interior standards are kind of like the goals. So in a perfect world, rehabilitation project would result in these things, and the guidelines are supposed to be a route to get you to those goals. So just kind of try to keep that in mind, but...
To get us to what goal now?
To get you to the Secretary of Interior standards are like the golden metric.
Okay.
That is the end goal. And the guidelines are supposed to be the rules by which you get to those goals.
And so if a structure has not been altered in ways that are things that would make it non-conforming, then I still don't understand why this building could even be considered non-conforming when to me it seems pretty clear that no real alterations have been made. I mean, wasn't this the original facade in the front?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's just the contributing versus not contributing status that comes from the state preservation program. So that comes out of that 2005 survey. So all of the properties, when we say if they're contributing or not, that's from that 2005 survey.
So what piece of information then informs your judgment, your call that this is a non-contributing? What is it about it that makes you say that it is a non-contributing structure?
The survey.
The survey.
So, what is it about the survey?
So when they do the survey, they make the decision whether it's contributing or not.
So the survey says it's non-contributing?
Yes, I don't make that decision.
I see.
That is coming from the State Preservation Office.
And that was done in 2005, and at this time, until they do another one, these are our guidelines.
Yeah, so properties that were built after 1955, pretty much unless they are super important at that point, were automatically considered non-contributing because they weren't old enough to be considered historic by the 50-year rule, which is kind of...
How often do they do a renewal of the...
I mean, you'd have to do a resurvey.
But the building, we know the building was built in 1965. A building becomes historic because of the passage of time, right?
Yes and no.
No?
Passage of time and the retention of its integrity, which you're right, this one theoretically could have switched over to contributing once it became 50 years old. Just the list that we have to work with is outdated at this point.
So it sounds to me like, though, then to apply the principle that the 2005 survey is the criterion by which we decide a building is contributing or not is something that was going to have to be updated every single year in order to apply that as a standard.
Yeah.
Which is not a realistic thing to
Yeah.
do.
So
So I would make the case that the fact that we know that this building is more than 50 years old, it is, in my mind, as far as I understand it, unquestionably historic, and not according to the criterion sections 30 and 31, it is not non-conforming. And that's just my interpretation of this, so
yeah.
that's what I'm raising.
Well, these are just guidelines, and it's not just black and white. And because of the 2005 survey is what we have to go by, and until they come up and do another survey, that's what we have to use, whether we agree or not. Just
And that's-
because something turns 50 does not make it historic until they do a new survey.
Then why did they come up with a year?
Historic is a legal definition.
Okay.
So just because something is old doesn't mean it's historic. It has to retain enough integrity to convey its historic significance.
So what has this building, what has happened to this building that it has not retained its character?
I mean, are you asking like,
Rhetorically speaking, or the applicant, what before this application and this process that we're going through, what happened that it lost its integrity, that it would be gauged as non-conforming?
Lack of maintenance.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
The property wasn't maintained, so the majority of the house, the siding on it was rotted, delaminated. The brick had no ties in it, so it literally just fell. The brick facade on the front of it literally just fell off the wall.
are you guys, could you hear that?
The fact.
So, yeah, so he said that it wasn't maintained, and the brick veneer, when they were pulling off the siding, I think, just fell, like, the whole thing fell off. So it sounds like deferred maintenance was an issue with this property.
And so what then are, when someone is working on a historic structure and it shows that it needs to be replaced, then what do we do with that? Well, we replace it in kind.
Just so everyone is clear, this property owner was not aware when he purchased this property that he was within the historic district. So all of this work was done without knowledge of that.
I understand
So
that.
We
Yeah,
understood that.
I understand that. And I also, let me ask the applicant this. Did you know that Eureka Springs has a historic district when you started this work?
We did not. We were not made aware of that by either the selling agent or my agent. Or the inspector. When we applied for the permit, it was never brought to our attention. I've done many historical renovations in my career. This is what I do for a living. We weren't aware that this was inside the district.
That's not my question. My question is, were you aware that Eureka Springs has a historic district?
He answered no to that
So
question.
you were not even aware that Eureka Springs has anything to do with historic preservation?
I was aware of the downtown district, that this is not downtown, so I wasn't aware that it was that far out. And I was not aware that it was the whole city, until after we talked to you.
So I went online this afternoon and I just typed in a quick Google search, the boundaries of the Eureka Springs Historic District. And the first 3 or 4 things that popped up all make it very clear that the boundary is the city limits of of Eureka Springs, and then it's been altered from that and extended a little bit from then. So I'm
We
just-
understand that. We understand that. We're not trying to, use that as an excuse or anything.
Okay.
We started the project, and it was going to be solely on the inside of the job. But it was just the further we got into the house, the worse it left. And we started noticing that the siding was delaminated, so we were going to repair it. We actually tried to purchase the existing siding, because the siding on it was just, just falling apart. And it actually become very cost prohibitive because it's now a product that can hardly be done.
And I understand those things, yes.
So it wasn't something we intended to do. We weren't intended to do anything except for doing a little painting on the outside. And we weren't going to do that until next spring, but here we are.
Do we have any other questions?
In his statement to the HDC, he indicates that he was not made aware by anyone that his property is part of the historic district.
Yeah,
So
I understand that.
That appears to me to be an issue with the real estate owners, with anyone who would, when he made the initial application, he did not make an application to the HDC because he didn't know he had to. And so he's essentially completed his work. So, it's an unfortunate thing that this occurred.
And I am gauging the application based solely on the nature of the changes that are being
I get
requested.
that. I
And
get that.
actually, I'm not taking into consideration what the applicant knew or didn't know. I'm simply looking at the guidelines as I see them
Yes.
applicable and trying to
that.
decide whether they represent things that are consistent with that. But I'm also kind of curious, did this work not require a permit?
We actually permitted the project.
I'm sorry, what?
The job is permitted.
I think
It was permitted.
By whom?
Did you receive your
By the
permit
city of Eureka Springs.
Pardon me? I can't.
through the city of Eureka Springs?
So how does,
So who signed it? I'd like to know that. Bobby Ray, or who, where is?
would have been Armstrong. wouldn't it? I think he said when they asked.
I don't
for
have
it,
that
like,
information in
he
front of
didn't
me.
have
I'm not
anybody
sure.
say anything.
Okay, that's
Hang
okay.
on a second, I'll see if I can find it for you.
It should have been Bobby Ray, but he signs
Well,
the permits.
the reason I asked this question, and I'll find this if
We
I,
applied for it online and paid for it online.
Oh, you went online?
But we don't know the language of the permit either.
You went to the city.
but
Who did the construction? Did you hire somebody to do the construction, sir, or have you done all this work yourself?
RSR Design, I'm Roger Ross, I'm the owner of RSR Design. We're doing the construction on it. I'm a licensed state contractor.
Okay, so did you come to the city of Eureka Springs,
We
I'm sure, to get a license?
We filed a permit with the city of Eureka Springs.
But you don't recall who
Permit.
signed the permit, sir?
I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know the inspector's name. We've actually tried to make contact with him several times. And
Bobby Ray,
yes. I think
okay,
Bobby
that's our
Ray,
inspector.
As far as I know, he's never been to the project. I called him personally myself to follow up.
well, the reason that I raised this question, and I can't find it right now, but I know it's here, is that before you can get a permit, you must bring a certificate of appropriateness in order to be issued a permit to begin work. So I'm wondering what happened, that there is a permit here but no COA.
Well, that would
Receipt.
be, I don't think that's this gentleman's issue. He did it online, it was signed, so this would be something that would need to be brought up to the building inspector or the mayor.
So, but as,
I don't think the mayor has anything.
Can we
The work has,
not make the motion and investigate this further and continue on their next meeting?
well, the work's been done, Judy.
Yes, I know that,
and that's not going to change.
right.
Yeah, it's not going to change. So,
Well, it's not going to
I
change.
mean, we can't reprimand the building inspector. That is out of our control completely. So this is something we don't
Well,
need
we're
to,
assuming that
Yeah.
it was the,
But
I
is
would
it
like
the
to know
building
if it was the
inspector or
building
is it the
inspector or not.
contractor? The contractor should be aware.
And he's a contractor.
No, his statement claims that his contractor.
Kylie, should we go ahead and vote on this? And
So
then
what would
the rest of this be investigated if they want to
Might I add
investigate
something
it?
Before you vote, everything that we intend to do to this building will actually enhance the building and probably make it the most expensive piece of property on that street.
That's not the question.
I know. I just want you to know that everything that we're going to do is going to actually enhance the mid-century modern design of this house.
That's not the
and not
question.
take away from it. So, just so you're aware of that.
And we brought it up to code.
Randy, we're not pretty police at all. You're getting, you need to tone it down. I'm sorry, but
I didn't hear you, ma'am. What was that?
I'm just commenting to one of the commissioners.
Okay.
Is the contractor not this gentleman here with RSR?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the
The
contractor.
contractor construction guy. Same in this case.
Since we have a motion on the table and a second, I think we should vote on it. So those in favor, say aye. Those opposed,
No,
No.
I want a roll call. Randy?
no,
I have to write, so just a moment. Judy?
No.
Maggie?
Yes?
Kyle?
No.
Marty?
I would say yes because of the extenuating circumstances. This brochure was not sent out in a timely manner, and he was not aware. In good faith, he started the work. And I understand that, I'm sorry, I understand every comment that Randy has made, and I think Randy's 100% correct. But in this one instance, there were definitely extenuating circumstances. And the work is essentially finished, so yeah, let him finish his job and get on with his life. We just have to, we just have to, as commissioners, as a historic district committee, we have to educate not only contractors and real estate agents, but anyone else who has something to do with permissions.
Well, as it stands, we have 3 noes and 2 yeses. It doesn't matter how I vote. So it's denied. Well, it's just a tie, because I'm not voting.
may I move for an amended version of this?
Yes, you can make a new motion.
I move that the portion of the application relevant to the deck construction be approved as written in the application.
Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Okay, Randy made the motion, Marty seconded to the deck portion, and we will vote on that. Does anybody have any questions on the deck portion?
I have just one comment. Just, this is a really weird situation, considering the fact that the material is already lost. It can't be put back on. Are there any design changes that would make this a approvable project, because we can't ask them to undo the siding and put the brick veneer back and do, that's unreasonable. So if there are specific things about the design that we could also amend that would make this an acceptable application, if you want to discuss that now, or if you want to defer this to a later date. I feel like we need to provide the applicant some direction since,
I'm open to doing that
This has
once
been
we vote on
denied.
the motion on the table.
okay.
Okay, those in favor of the deck, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Okay, now, as what Kylie brought up, what design guidelines do you have suggestions for?
I think we have the principle right in front of us, and that is that you replace in kind. We see this all the time. People want to replace the railings across the front porch, and so we insist that they replace them with in-kind materials. In other words, it's effectively the same as what was previously there.
But, wait, you're suggesting that he make replacements with the same type of material as originally
Yes.
on the building. But according to his statement, that material was rotted out and not usable anymore. So if he replaces it with the same type of material rather than current standards, he's just giving himself problems down the road. Like, he wanted to put hardy board in one place, and this is brick veneer, which is not even a proper material for construction. It's just prettying things up. And it's splintering and not, he's wasting it. I know I don't think he should, I'm not making myself clear because I haven't thought this through.
Well, and I haven't either. I think, though, that I'm just sort of throwing out a general principle
Yeah.
that we apply, not
But-
having any idea how I would even detail that or go down that rabbit hole to explain what
yes.
that means.
Yes.
I don't know. But our general principle is to replace things in kind.
I agree with that, but given that this material was rotted out, peeling, split, it sounds like it was some kind of laminate, fake wood, and for him to replace it with the same material, I don't.
It was a
think it's
brick
good.
veneer, which apparently wasn't taken care of well.
The front piece
It
of it.
wasn't installed properly to begin with.
Brick veneer is never something that you want to put on a structure.
And the railing that you're talking about that was on
I
the
know
front
a
of
lot
the
of
house
people build with it.
was put in
Laminate-
sometime in the
laminate
mid-'80s.
is
It's a
not
lightweight,
a
twisted,
worthy construction
cheap
material.
aluminum railing. It wasn't a part of an original structure at all. The front window that was changed out was actually a glass block window that certainly wasn't installed when it was new.
So it sounds like a lot of work has been done over the years that weren't, the place wasn't original when he bought it.
Correct.
Exactly.
And it was in major disrepair.
Well, that was not mentioned.
He just.
I mean, it was mentioned in his statement.
Right down here, yes. On item 1, page 4.
Yes, that's what I'm reading, yes.
Yeah.
So I think if there's been a lot of changes in the years, and then he bought it, and then it fell apart, you know, it was all rotted.
I think the previous tenant lived there over 20 years, and he only rented it and never did anything with the house.
Well, the pictures that we have on item 1, page 7, who provided those? Were those old files, Kylie?
No, the applicant provided
The applicant?
those. I
Okay.
think that was from the real estate listing.
Sir, was that from these pictures? I don't know, can you see them, or do you need me to walk over there closer?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I can't see him.
Okay.
They look like real estate listing photos.
Go to your right just a little. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Were these from the real estate, or did you take these pictures?
Those were come off the internet.
Internet.
So was that what the house looked like when you bought it?
Yes.
Was there changes?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Similar to this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he exercised good faith when he started making his changes. And I think we would be penalizing him for a lack on the part of the commission and anyone else concerned with giving permission to construct. That's my only.
I think ultimately you have to consider the changes holistically. Does the property still convey a 1965 ranch-style home?
And
It is whether or not this delineation makes sense. The commission's been operating on the contributing versus non-contributing idea, as well as historic versus non-historic neighborhoods. It's a non-contributing building in a non-historic neighborhood. All of the properties on that street are post-1965. Considering those changes holistically, are they appropriate for the style and era of house?
yes, I think they are.
And if that's the metric, I feel like that's what you have to base your decision off of.
And that's what I've always been taught in classes, plus under Glenna, everything was, these are guidelines. We can change, they're not black and white. We have to look at each neighborhood. So do I have a new motion to accept this?
Okay, I move that we accept the changes as put forth by the applicant
Do I have a second?
due to extenuating circumstances.
Second.
Marty made the motion, Maggie seconded.
Now, why are we voting again?
Did you not just listen to Kylie?
I did, but I thought we had understood what we needed to understand. I don't know why we're raising.
What do you mean we? Do you mean you, or do you mean all of us?
Well, I assume that all of us did because we all voted.
I have a no, no, yes, no, yes. And we've talked to him, and Kylie's shed more light. I'm just asking us to vote one more time. And I think that's the right thing to do.
I think the changes that he's effecting are appropriate to the house. It's the sixth.
I'm going to do one more roll call.
Sorry, I just have one question.
Okay.
So we keep talking about historic elements being preserved. I'm not well-versed on mid-century modern architecture. I'm just curious what elements from a mid-century home are being preserved in its current state. I mean, I don't see anything here that's mid-century modern. representation.
Actually, the windows, the front windows are certainly a mid-century modern, and the siding that's on there is almost identical to the siding that's
Yeah.
on the house across the street.
Item 1, page 9, those windows are mid-century.
So I'm looking at the front of the house. The front left window, they were saying was a glass block window? Is that what I understood they were saying?
The original one.
No, actually, the glass block window is where the smaller window is now on the right side of the door.
I mean-
That was a glass block window that
Yeah.
was improperly put in and was falling out. It was put in sometime during a remodel, probably, mid-'80s.
Okay, so that one was changed for that reason. The one on the left, the larger window, is it the three windows, three horizontal windows that you're saying are making it mid-century? Or what design are you saying?
Yes, actually, yes. Those windows and the door window.
Yeah,
The
those
door
windows
itself.
and the doorway are mid-century.
Okay,
Which really was only the door, the original door on it was not the original door. And this door is much more mid-century design. I'm not sure why anything in the neighborhood is called mid-century.
We don't have a photograph of the glass block
There's a
bathroom
block across
window.
the street.
I feel like some character-defining features of a 1965 ranch would be the overall form. You see on this whole street, pretty much all the houses are the same, where you have entry on like the top level, and then it's sunken. There's a lower basement level. The low pitch of the roof. You don't have wide overhanging eaves on this type of house. The carport, I would say, is a character-defining feature of this property. Since it wasn't entirely enclosed, I'd say that it can still convey that that was originally an open carport. And in fact, the design guidelines do allow for carport enclosures. So I think, again, overall, this is still conveying a mid-century design, even with a loss of materials. You see horizontal siding in mid-century design, even though it's not exactly as this specific property was designed. Overall, the form is in keeping with that architectural style.
thank you.
Okay, Marty, yes or no?
Yes?
Kyle? Yes or no?
Yes.
Maggie, yes or no?
Yes.
Judy, yes or no?
Yes.
Randy, yes or no?
No.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, sir.
James, I will follow up with you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, is that it?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
29 South Main. Do we have, Mike, are you here? Do you want the mic there? I can't see Mike. Would you come up and state your name and address, please?
Yeah, Mike Fletcher, the one and only, no baloney. Let's liven this place up a little bit.
Is this what they taught you in Wyoming?
We're men are men. Yeah,
Welcome back to Eureka
Yes.
Springs.
Yes, yes. It's good to be back. Nice and warm here.
Kylie's going to read you her comments.
So the building at 29 South Main is a highly visible 20th century standard commercial block The applicant is seeking comments or input on this conceptual proposal to add a second-story covered porch to match the lower level. Dimensions and materials were not specified. In evaluating this request, staff makes the following findings of fact. The property is contributing, constructed in 1900. The proposed addition of a second-story covered porch would significantly alter the original design of the building and conceal character-defining features such as the beveled corner and ashlar stonework. There is a historic precedent, however, for a second-story railing that would make the porch safe to use after structural reinforcement. Due to the proposed alterations' negative impact on the building's integrity of design, staff does not recommend the concept as proposed. It may be appropriate for a second-story iron railing instead.
Okay, do I have a motion so we can discuss?
I move that the Historic District Commission provide feedback on this conceptual review for the work at 29 South Main Street as proposed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or comments for Mike?
So there's already a
Mike.
door. Is there already a door that's,
Yeah, there's already a door up there, and, you know, back then, they didn't worry about people falling off 14 foot to the ground, apparently, but definitely need to, I want to be able to put people up there, what we call a live load. Right now, it's set up for a dead load. In fact, the decking is just, I don't know, when did this commission get established in Eureka? You guys have any idea?
1970?
Then you guys would
74,
have
yeah.
documentation when that deck got replaced, because it is atrocious. It's
Yeah.
falling down.
I haven't been up there for a few years, but when you redid, it was bad.
It's worse now, so
Well,
we
when-
got to do something with the
How
deck.
old is Susan's son?
Say again?
How old is Susan's son? Do you remember?
Susan's son?
Yeah, that runs the photo shop. His baby shower, it was atrocious then.
Oh, okay, well, it hasn't got much better. So, no, it's in such, well, people, I call it cob job. There's a lot of cob job going on around here, so I don't like to jack around. I like to do things right the first time and don't do it and come back and have to do it again. Whoever put that deck up, according to your books or whatever, I don't know, you guys got any documentation when that deck got replaced? Because I have no idea.
We'd have to look in your folder, which are at the city
Okay, I'll have
building.
to come over and take a peek, see,
Yeah.
because whoever
go.
did it just, they're cob specialists. But nevertheless, the deck, part of the deck's got to come down, and I'm trying to get my ducks in a row on that to hire a contractor to come out and replace some of that deck. Have to get the engineer out there to re-engineer the footings there, because they probably just set it down on whatever. So if we put a live load up there, there's some things we got to do. The post, you can see through the post, the base of the post where we have concrete at the base. Well, after 120 some odd years, it's finally rotted out the base. So it's really a structure that needs some major attention and to last longer than any of us probably put together. But nevertheless, I'll present that, you know, in the future HDC meeting. But the whole focus here is windows, and you guys don't like single-strength windows for whatever reason. Their health, their heat, and their solar gain, one way or another, winter or summer, and there's a lot of heat loss going through those windows, depending on what time of the year it is. I highly suggest that your commission gets together and get it together and get updated with the times here. I was just in Minnesota, Minneapolis, to go watch a Stones concert, and I looked around some of the old structures there, and they have new windows up. And these are, you know, this is probably a 1940 building, something like that. Your windows here are atrocious.
But
You need
are
to-
they in the historic district, and what are their guidelines?
Well, your guidelines need to get updated.
We got to do apple to apple. You can't just say Minnesota, because a lot of towns have a little tiny historic district where we have a huge historic district.
Right. Well, if you go look at your windows outside, I say, when did they paint these windows last? 10 years ago? They're falling apart. Just take a walk, see outside sometime and look at these windows. You're going to need to do something with them one of these days. It's just the nature of the beast with wood. There's not much protection with the current.
Kyle, would you like to address wooden windows?
I would like to give you a whole bunch of information if you would like to get.
Kyle does window restorations.
That's nice, but these, we're not going to jack with these. I got too much money in them right now.
Windows weren't really part of this proposal.
No, I was going to say, I don't see anything where it says windows on this
No, it doesn't. I'm
discussion.
just observation.
Okay, so we're
I mean-
talking about feedback on the conceptual review,
Sure.
and we have to stick with what's on the agenda. We can't
Okay.
add to it.
So what you're suggesting is, and I think it's the overall thing to cover, basically covering up the windows gives longevity to the windows. These windows are exposed,
We
and,
haven't recommended anything, sir.
say again?
We haven't given you any recommendations about
We're-
anything. We're just discussing the deck.
Right, well,
Nothing.
it's the overhead deck, which would be a solid deck. You guys like to go with the awning, which is, let's be real, there's penetrations into the building. I'm not sure, what the difference between that penetrations in the building to hold up a vinyl awning or whatever versus having a hard deck.
Are we talking about
Second level
deck?
deck.
Deck.
We can put in a hard deck, or we can do the, what do they call it, half-inch tubing that's welded together, then they go ahead and they put it up, and then they put their vinyl over that. The bottom line is, you still have penetrations into the building to hold it. And I don't see the difference between the amount of holes or penetrations into the building versus that of a hard deck, which would be like 2x6, probably 2x6 construction. There's about 8-foot overhang.
Maybe I missed something here. I don't have an issue with the deck. Did somebody have an issue with the deck?
He's asking to put a covering. The deck's already there, so the decking's already there. He's asking to put a deck roof.
Over
Okay.
It says addition, on the first
not-
page, it says description of proposed work. Addition of second-story covered porch to match lower level. And dimensions and materials were not specified, so we don't have any dimensions or materials to even talk about,
You
just
guys got photos?
addition.
Yes, we do.
Mike, everything you gave me is in their packet.
Okay. Well, this is conceptualized, I don't want to waste a whole lot of time in design. I got better things to do. I don't need to waste or spin my wheels. Ski season's coming, so I need to get back to go skiing. But nevertheless, we're trying to see the windows, I'm sure we can do and fix the windows. They got cobbed up along the way. I've done the Bondo.
Could you tell me what the height of your proposed fence is?
It'd be just above the lintel
I'm sorry?
of the windows themselves.
No, I'm not talking about the windows. I'm talking about the fence,
The railing.
the railing.
Railing, well, whatever code is,
Sorry?
I think it's 42 inches.
Yes.
Because you seem to have several different dimensions on this railing. What is the lowest segment?
I think we have to be 42.
Yeah, it's 42, I believe.
That's
I mean,
code.
That's the
to put
lowest.
people up there so they don't fall over, I believe it's 42 inches.
So you're proposing
It's just a proposal. I
40
can,
42 inches in the middle of the proposed railing, and then it would be like 48 inches subsequent to that? We have no dimensions.
No, this is just conceptual. You know, I need to come back to the table again with actual detailed drawings and materials used and all that.
Okay, so where are the windows you keep talking about?
Well, the windows aren't on the application, so we're not going to talk about windows tonight.
That's all he's been talking about.
I know, but we can't talk about it because it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
All we're going to talk about is addition of second-story covered porch to match lower level. And really what we need to know is dimensions, material, things like that,
Right.
before we can even go forward, unless somebody has a definite.
Well, can I step back just a little bit from that? If we can talk about it just at a conceptual level, I would articulate it this way. I would say we're talking about replacing the walking surface deck.
Eventually, yes. But my focus is I have to bring an engineer to design this. So we have to get our ducks in a row with the load from the roof and the decking if we put on a second level. I mean,
What I'm getting at, though, is that without getting into the questions of engineering, what I am thinking, what I'm understanding and wondering if I'm right, is that we're talking about the concept of replacing that deck, which is already there.
yeah, that's,
Right? Making it capable of supporting the live loads of people being up there and safe according to code. So conceptually, we're talking about making that an occupiable space, and therefore it's a matter of rebuilding in kind what is currently there, as long as it conforms to applicable code. That's part of it. And then there is a part which maybe we want to separate conceptually, and that is the covering for that, which does not yet currently exist, which is a completely different question in my mind. So whether or not that is an appropriate concept to do to this building.
that's right.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out whether or not I can put a hard deck over the existing deck that's already there. One, to protect the windows and also take care of water, I guess, touching.
Why?
I feel like we're conflating terms here. So let's call the part you stand on the decking, and then the addition,
Awning.
let's call a roof, just so we're all using the same language.
Sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's no issue with replacing that decking to make it safer load-bearing. That doesn't have anything to do with windows.
No.
But I don't feel like the argument that adding a roof would protect the windows. It's been there since 1900 as designed.
Yeah,
So,
you come up and look at the wood's rotten. I don't know how you repair it. I mean, I did the best I could with Bondo, and
Ask Kyle.
yeah, you have a great resource here, so.
right. Well, resource he charges. You don't work for free, do you? I didn't think so.
I'm definitely willing to give pointers.
Yeah. Well, these windows are pretty bad. I mean, anyone in the construction world would just take and pull them out and put in new wood and quit wasting, money and resources on something that's not going to be much better when it's all said and done. I've taken care of the windows. I'm not going to spend any more money on them. They'll last me until I die, so I'm good with that.
So,
But getting back to the hard deck, this is the question. The deck that's already there, the walking deck, okay, it needs to get replaced, regardless. That's a given. We also have some structural issues of what holds the deck in place. The key, what you guys need to understand, if we put a second deck on top of that, our load changes, okay, for those posts. And we just want to make sure we have it designed well enough to carry the second load, or the second deck, if you want to call it that. The second roofing, if you want to call it that. And today's event is just to see how you guys feel about that, okay? And if you want me to charge ahead forward, I'll bring you some detailed drawings with materials need to get used, and right now, the decking material that's up there is 1x4, and it's not really good. And it's be interesting to see when they erected this deck, because I moved here in '92, and I don't recall that deck ever getting worked on, so it must be pre-1992, whenever that was.
And this raises my last question, actually. Do you know what year this photograph was taken with the pickup, says cider time? Do you know what year that was?
Which one was this?
The one
Bob?
that says cider time on it on item 2, page 6.
I provided that, Mike
Okay.
didn't, so I don't know that he's seen that
Okay.
I see.
photo.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea. I shot a lot of photos. I bought the property in 2003, so photos, and I provided a lot of images in prior HDC meetings, so you guys probably have a pretty big file.
From that period, right? Because this is a really old photo, and it's really telling. I mean, you can only see just a little bit of the deck and its railing, but it's pretty telling about what had been there back
Yeah, I
in
guess I
probably the early
haven't
60s
seen
at the
it,
late.
so I don't know what
Yeah.
you're looking at.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is like circa 1940s, 1950s. There wasn't a date provided on the photo, but
I'm not good at
I
this.
guess it's black and white too, right?
yeah.
It would be that.
But you can see where there's, I mean, it is not, this would not fly today, but the railing is essentially post with one single
Yes.
thing across the top. So there's a precedent for that being an occupiable space, but there is not a precedent for a second-story roof.
Yeah.
No.
It looks like I see mesh along there, but, so are we looking for a motion or something?
Just providing feedback. So I
Just
think,
feedback,
Okay.
so.
yeah, so what he's wanting to know is,
Can he?
would the roof fly, yes or no?
I see.
And then,
What he's wanting to know is to put another roof up there completely.
So may I offer my opinion?
Yes,
I-
that's what he wants.
Yes or no?
Yes to the deck, no to the roof.
Okay.
I don't think we have enough information.
Yeah, I don't have enough information to say about a roof. I lean toward Randy's
So what are
right
you guys
now.
looking for?
well,
Sorry.
we're not issuing a C of A today.
No.
He just wants information so he can go back and refine this and provide more information,
Yes.
and then a COA would be issued.
So we're fine with the deck.
Yeah,
Everybody was fine with the deck. And we're just questioning, let's call it the roof, like you said, that has never been there before.
Yes.
And it has never existed and.
No.
Okay.
I have two choices, hard deck or your awning.
Okay.
That's what the rules are. I'm
All
not
right.
sure how updated they are, but whatever.
Okay.
You know, I see decks as I walk up and down Spring Street and whatever, decks with, that probably weren't there at one time, but they are there now, so I'm just scratching my head. From a builder's standpoint, if you want longevity, the hard deck is the way to go. Awnings, they crater out in time, you know, due to the UV and IR and all that
Yes.
on the materials. And so does the roofing. Roofing gets beating too, but it's more long-lasting.
Everything gets a beating eventually.
I think the best thing, in my suggestion, like Kylie was saying earlier, would be for you to bring us your concept and materials before we can say A or nay. We need a little bit more information from you. We're not saying no to the deck at all, sir. Obviously, it needs repair. And then when it comes to the roof or the awning, we would need more information, and then we'd consider whether it's feasible or not.
You would also have to consider
Historic,
its integrity
Yes.
of how you would attach a roof or
Right.
an awning to this historical structure.
My understanding in my other, what do you call it, C of O, or whatever they call it, or C of A. Basically, from a historic standpoint, it's been my experience, we don't want this to look like what's already there, okay? That's when this is one of the takeaways from my events way back when in 2003,
That's
04,
new construction.
and 05. Say again?
New construction, we don't want it to look exactly, but...
Well, that's exactly right. Well, this would be, quote, new construction. I mean, I can make it whatever, but my understanding is in previous meetings with you folks is you just want it to be distinguishedly different from the old build. So, and as far as that goes, I can design it either way, you know?
Adding a roof would significantly alter the facade of that building.
Yeah.
So you're telling me no-go because I don't want to spin my wheels.
I would tell you, and I told you when we did a site
Right.
visit, I would not say yes to a roof. That's my opinion. They're the decision makers.
So an awning is permissible? Is that what I understand? If so, what
No,
am I?
an awning is a separate issue. Awnings are allowable.
So what's your design criteria on that?
They're to cover individual windows, not to cover like an entire run.
Okay?
You couldn't use an awning to essentially be a roof.
Well, how's the crescent get by with it, or the base?
I can't speak to that.
Yeah, like I said, you guys walking me down Spring Street, take a look at all these awnings. They look pretty non-conforming.
So you probably don't want to put one on your building then.
Okay. Well, now what about this railing thing? What do you guys need for that? You just need design drawings? One, I got to beat a code, okay? So you guys probably in the 70s, I'm not sure how much code they had back then when you guys got established, but, you know, whatever it is, I can check with Bobby Ray and go with that. Now, what about the design? You want the swoopy design, you know, with the arch in it, or you want straight across? I can do it either way. I can stick with metal, which is probably, I don't know what photographs you guys are looking at from that black and white, but I can, that's basically what I did in the back when I did the awning. I can just match it up with whatever you guys have on file from before.
Which would make it consistent all the way around. I mean,
Well, that works for me. I can do
I
it.
mean,
It's going to cost the same amount to do it either way. I just, I can go ahead and do the design
because
feature
the
of that.
back, from what I remember in the back, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's drop dead gorgeous.
So not too many people get to see that. So I think if you brought it on around to the front would be good.
Okay. All right, and if in the event that, just to understand and get a better understanding of these awnings here, individual windows, you can have awnings on each individual window. Is that what y'all are suggesting?
What?
Yes, that's,
I mean, I'm just trying to understand the rules of engagement here.
I think if we're going to address that question, then all of us need to look at the guidelines and understand what is said about awnings,
Okay,
us and you.
right. And what page or document or was
It's all
that?
online.
Yeah, right, okay.
Kylie can give you the link to,
Sure, yeah, I can find it.
yeah, since it wasn't on the agenda, we weren't prepared to discuss
No,
that.
that's fine. No, that's cool. I'm just trying to understand it like you guys are.
Well, if this photograph is any indication of the original structure, there were no awnings.
I can't hear you real good. Can you talk into the microphone, please? Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
said from the photograph on page 5,
Okay,
it appears that there were no awnings on the original structure, if that photograph is part of the original structure.
Yeah, it probably
There
is.
was
I
no
don't-
awning.
Well,
so what justifies putting awning up anyways, just out of curiosity? Do I need to go back and look at all your rules and try to extract that information, or?
I think we all do.
yeah, because we didn't prepare for awnings because
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't
All
on
right, well,
here.
we'll just punt on that. You guys got a lot more work to do, so I'll come back, your next meeting or event is
December 2nd.
2nd, okay. And I got to have things to you a week
No,
before.
December 1, I'm sorry.
Right. So I got to have things to you a week before that, if I understand that right?
By November 24th?
Or you
Let's-
could put it aside for later.
Well, I
If
don't
it's a
like the way,
level-
Feel under any time constraint.
Level 3 applications are due tomorrow, November 18th. Level 2 applications are due Wednesday, November 24th.
and what's this level? I don't know which level I'm.
Will awnings be 2
This
still?
would be a level 2.
I'm more interested in working with the handrail system, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, level 2s.
November 24th.
Okay, cool. All right, I can work with that.
Okay.
Well, I'm also the First Street guy. If you want me here, I can stick around. That's the lights or whatever. Signage.
Yes, yes. Since we pulled it from the consent to the other, yeah, stick around for a
I'll
moment.
stick around.
Let's see how fast we
I'll
can
go
get
get a
through.
drink.
Okay.
We got a few minutes before that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we
I-
have another one for Drennan before that.
Sounds like fun. Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thank you. Okay, do we have somebody for Ford Drenning Level 3? You could come and state your name and address, please.
My name is Jacob Aker. I live at Fort Drennan, resident.
Okay, Kylie?
The building at Fort Drennan is a non-contributing residence constructed in 2016. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the addition of a 22-foot by 13-foot guest cabin as presented, as well as the addition of a circular deck that is roughly 12 feet by 20 feet, and the addition of a half-circle greenhouse measuring approximately 8 feet wide and 16 feet in length. The roof and siding will be clear lap panel vinyl and salvaged corrugated metal. And evaluating this request, staff makes the following findings of fact. The property is non-contributing and non-historic. The proposed addition of a guest house is appropriate due to its scale and compatibility of design and materials with the main structure. The proposed greenhouse is appropriate in scale. However, the applicant may consider an alternative to salvaged metal for maintenance and longevity. The deck as proposed is appropriate and compatible with the other decks on the property. Staff recommend approval of this agenda item.
Do I have a motion so we can discuss?
I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work at Fort Drennan as proposed.
Second.
Questions?
I had a little trouble understanding this from the level of the site.
Okay.
And it's kind of really hard to tell much from maps or
Uh-huh.
that I don't get a sense of the orientation. And one thing that I'm sure my colleagues won't be surprised to hear from me is that decks are supposed to be at the back
Uh-huh.
of the building. Is this proposed deck at the rear?
It is, yes, yeah, of the existing home. And the greenhouse is on the south side
At the back, yeah.
of the back.
Any other discussion? Questions? Judy made the motion, Maggie seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, folks. Do
Thank you.
I need anything?
Yeah, 1 second.
Sure.
Didn't sign on this South Main. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, just wait and we'll
Okay,
ask,
same with that one.
we'll ask Kylie here. Yeah. Okay, 245 Spring. Do we have anybody present?
No, they are not here. I also asked them to provide clear photos And I did not receive those in time for the meeting.
Okay, do you guys want to make a motion to postpone this till the next meeting, till we have the clear pictures and they're here? Or do you want to try to discuss it tonight?
I'll make the motion that we wait until the next meeting.
Second.
I make a motion that the Historic District Commission move new construction for windows for 245 Spring Street be extended till the next meeting on December 1st.
Okay, and your second, okay. Okay, just a moment, I was writing. Judy made the motion, Kyle seconded. Any discussion on this before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? 5-0 to postpone till the December 1st meeting for more information. Okay. Then we moved level 1 first, I think it's street, but I'm not sure. 3 exterior lights, changed 2 parking signs for Mike Kletcha. Mike, do you want to come back to the mic, please?
Thank you very much.
And Randy
Yeah,
had
I
a
wanted
question.
I'm sorry.
You pulled it off, so I'm letting you go ahead.
Do you want to make the motion or?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess we do need a motion for discussion. I'm sorry, because this was consent. Yeah, do we have a motion for discussion? You can,
Well, I move that the commission,
the Historic District Commission,
yeah, I don't have my,
yeah, go back.
I'm sorry,
Here.
I'm not the one to do
Judy,
that.
can you
because I don't-
turn back to page 4,
I should
or
open
item
my
4, page 3 of the last one real quick and hand it to him?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work.
No, just the first part. Just read that first part and then make your motion. Just read it.
And for 240, or for 1 first.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Okay, I'm a little distracted.
That's okay.
I move that the Historic District Commission, in regards to Level 1 First Street, the 3 exterior lights and change the 2 parking signs.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Judy made the motion, Kyle seconded. Discussion?
I really only just had one question, and it's mostly a question about whether the thing that I'm wondering about is even something that we need to take into consideration. It has to do with the lights. First of all, I couldn't even find this building. Google Earth told me it was at the extreme other end of the street, but now I know where it is.
It's the old ice house.
I didn't drive by there today. I'm telling you honestly that I have not driven by there, but my concern or my question is the lighting and the spread, the reach of these lights. I'm curious about the impact on neighbors, on whether the source of the light will be visible from
The
residents.
lights are approximately maybe 9 feet in the air. The whole idea is to make, you guys take a walk, see outside when you walk out here, you'll see how dark it is over there. I got 2 parking spots over there that I need to light up to make it, quote, safe. And I thought I would do a little bit something and offer more to the city and then put in 2 more lights at my expense and light it up on First Street all the way to the Odd, from the where you go up the steps to Armstrong. So it's pretty dark through there, and the lights aren't that high. We don't have any neighbors. We just have, well, in fact, the gals at the courthouse, they said, well, thanks for putting out those lights. So apparently they have issues with a little bit when it gets dark 30. So
Randy, it's the building right back here to the stairway.
yeah, right across where the mayor parks.
It's all just parking lot.
It's the old ice house.
Yeah, and so I guess the only thing that I'm just raising as a question is, what does, if anything, does code say about these sorts of lights? Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In other locations that I'm aware of, there are guidelines and rules about that lighting for certain outdoor purposes shall not extend beyond the property line, for example. So I wouldn't be sitting in my backyard and be able to see some bright light that is on a car lot next door or something like that. And the question that I'm raising is whether these lights stand to impact.
Or you know where Armstrong is?
Yeah?
Okay. The lights are probably 20 feet or 15 to 20 feet below street level of Armstrong. The whole idea is to light up what we call First Street, which is this street right here, which is basically an alley. And it basically lights it up from here all the way to the next light over there. And that's all I'm trying to do. One, I'm trying to make it safe for the people who park with me and actually add a little bit to it and try to help others that are walking down First Street.
So is it safe to say that this won't impact residences near?
No, it's up at 10 feet,
Yeah.
maybe 10 feet, yeah.
Marty, is it going to bother your house?
Sorry,
You're up above this.
where exactly is this?
Right here.
That building right there. You know where Butch parks all the time? And that
Yeah,
slab, that building that's right there where the change machine used to be?
uh-huh.
That's the building.
And you want to add a 10-foot solar light?
Well, that's where the top of the building is. We figured we'd put it just below the eaves there.
Will it be down lighting? Because I do know.
Yeah, it is downlighting,
Yeah.
it's just a...
That is what we're supposed to have
yeah,
in
yeah.
town, is down lighting.
Yeah, it's downlighting, it's a floodlight. It's about...
I honestly don't believe solar lighting will add that much to the area. Because
Well, there's...
you've got a lot of trees there.
Say again, I
Yeah,
can't...
it's not going to bother you up there on Armstrong, is what you're saying, yeah.
No, it's going to, basically, it's going to project light down on First Street. You know, it's, like I
So it'll
said,
be aimed downward?
yeah, I mean, it's a
So how will
floodlight,
the
it's
sun-
a
How will the
lens.
sun hit those photocells if it's aimed downward?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. My hearing's going.
And my voice is gone, so we're,
Oh, well,
She
we'll get along
asked-
great.
She asked, how is the sun going to hit the photocells if they're located
It's on
facing?
we done the electrical a little bit smarter than that, but we have it in a obvious place where the sun can hit it, okay? Facing away from the direct sunlight so the photocell will last a long time. But, yeah, the way we wired it up is all three lights come on due to the one photocell, which is right above the circuit panel.
Any other discussion?
You guys got these photos, right? You got these
Yes.
photos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
These are not solar-powered lights, they're
No,
solar-triggered
no,
lights.
get real. No. You want power, you need electricity. Solar's, I don't know, I'm not real high on solar. These are LED lights, though,
oh, they're really bright.
so minimal
So
usage.
they're not solar lights.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, there's
They are not
exteriors.
solar
No, they're not solar lights there, hon. No, they are LED lights, highly efficient.
So it's incorrect here where you say
Yeah,
they're
that's,
solar.
I was under the impression they were solar.
Because ours says addition of 3 exterior solar lights, so they're LED lights, so everybody needs to change your application.
Yeah, because throughout it says solar.
But I do know our lighting in town has to be down. So if they're downward,
Oh, yeah.
that, yeah,
And where are
This
these,
is the light right here. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if
I see.
You guys see it? Yeah.
yeah, that's downward.
Yeah, it's downward. It's just, floodlighted.
yeah, So I see the building, but where are these two parking places then, relative to that building?
To the left or right of the building?
Right across from where the mayor parks.
But where's the building
They're
in
to,
relation
if you're
to the-
standing, it would be to the right.
Yeah.
To the
Yeah, to the right of the building, yeah.
Thank you. Like that, Randy?
Oh, so putting them together like that is the way they actually are configured. Got it. Okay.
Do you, do you own these parking spots?
I'm sorry?
Do you own the parking spots?
Yeah, we did. We bought them. They don't make parking spots anymore in Eureka. Yeah, I actually bought it from my old landlord, so, that I rented from for 20 years, so Jerry Weaver, I'm not sure if you know him.
Any other comments or questions? Judy made the motion, Kyle seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Carries 5-0. On consent agenda item, we have a level 1 spring, number C, change sign.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Appreciate you. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Did everyone, oh, I know it was in our packet, so everyone saw the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for number 2, or which becomes number 1 under consent agenda? I need
Explain the motion that you need, please. I didn't understand.
consent agenda. We've always made a motion just as presented.
As presented.
Yes. I need somebody to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
Kyle made the motion. Maggie seconded. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Administrative approvals are all level 1s, and they're all on the website under the agenda. Commission business, approval of the minutes from November 3rd, 2021. I need a motion. Marty was absent, so you can't vote, but I need,
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 3rd, 2021.
Second.
Judy made the motion, Randy seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We have discussion of application requirements. And Marty asked us to put that on. Do you remember what you wanted to discuss, or are you
No.
able? Okay.
I just accept the application should be clarified. And again, we have examples of that. There are no, there are no dimensions, there are no accurate drawings. And if someone puts forth an application, it should be something that everybody can understand and not have just, you know, it's back to the napkin with a square on it. And we really need to have elevations, we need to have accurate dimensions, we need to have specific, like, specific examples of what the work to be completed is. And I don't see any of that. And that's been an ongoing thing.
Anybody else have any comments on that?
We had an example of it tonight. We had to
Yeah.
defer something, so. I agree
Okay.
with Marty.
Sorry?
No, I just said I agree with you, that we had to defer something tonight because I don't understand it well enough.
No.
Okay. So we just need, when they fill out the applications, the requirements are listed pretty well, I think, on the applications. We just need them to do their part. Okay, agenda setting for December 1st, 2021 meeting. Does anyone have anything they want to put on the agenda? Our next meeting will be December 1st, 2021. Level 3 applications due Thursday, November 18th, 2021. Level 2 applications due Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. I see nobody in the audience, but I'll ask public comments. Commissioner comments. Marty?
No.
Kyle?
No comment.
Maggie?
No comment.
Judy?
No comment?
Randy?
No, not today.
Everybody bundle up. I guess we're going to have winter now. That's my only comment. Stay warm. Kylie?
I do have a question.
Oh.
Is it too early to put up our Christmas decorations yet? Because I'm chomping at the bits to get.
No, the city has started,
The city's got theirs.
Cities is up.
All
so
right.
you go right ahead.
I don't have to wait until Thanksgiving.
Do you want us to vote on you?
What do they look like?
Okay.
It'd be awesome.
Director comments?
I have a couple things. I've included in your packet a memo of issues and opportunities from the Lakota group, so that is at the end of your packet. Randy, I don't know if you have it, but I have a hard copy here for you. So I'm not going to read it out. You guys read it on your own, and if you'd like to talk about it at the next meeting, we can definitely do that. Summarizes a lot of things that we already know about the direction of the guidelines revision project. The second thing is just I've outlined a summary of things that I've identified for the 2022 CLG grant. Again, you can look over those between now and the next meeting, and we can discuss it then if you'd like.
Okay.
Was that in the PDF, or is that something that you added?
I added that, so I have hard copies for you.
Or attach it to another email?
Yeah.
Do I have adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Randy made the motion, Maggie seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We're adjourned.